to see you, Maharaj. We missed you so dearly.
Thank you. We got Chaitanya Charan. Right? That's nice. Haribol. Thank you, Prabhus. And we miss you all. Anyways, mate, there were lots of gains achieved while I was gone. And but it's nice to be back here, at least for this weekend. I'll see what I can do for next week. I'm not sure, but it's like a 6-hour difference there. It's not like being in India. So it's possible that I might be with you next week. But Vaishnavi, be on top of things, all right? Just check with me. Vasanta, Hare Krishna, how are you? And we got good old Alex from Ottawa, Hare Krishna. Nice. I guess we should get started, right? All right. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Niravishi Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Tarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Haripad ki jai. All right, so let's go to page 1. Om Jnana Timirandasya.
Om Jnana Timirandasya.
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Jnana Shalakaya.
Chakshurun Militanyena.
Militanyena.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
I was born in the darkest ignorance.
I was born in the darkest ignorance.
My spiritual master opened my eyes.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
With the torch of knowledge.
With the torch of knowledge.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
All right, Hare Krishna. So I hope we can be led to our latest verse. Thank you, Prabhus, for taking care of things while I was gone. Did it go okay?
Yes,
the gatherings? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Gives everyone a chance to grow spiritually, right? Okay. I forgot where we are. We're in 16. Oh, 17. Oh my God.
17. Yeah. 5 and 6. Yeah.
Okay, divisions of faith. 5 and 6. Beautiful. I'll do the Sanskrit. Ashastra Vedan Goram Tapyante ye tapo chana damba ankara sanyukta kamaraga balanvita karshanyanta sharirastam bhutagramang achita saha mang chevanta sharirastam tan vidyasura nischayam. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances, not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egotism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish, and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the supersoul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. Hare Krishna. We've got a purport that can probably accommodate about 4 people. Who are they? That is the great mystery of the day. Hare Krishna.
So we can go with Gurudas. Are you able to read?
And for the moment I can. Yeah, I'm just picking up my daughter, but I can read. I'm waiting for her. I can read the first 2 sentences.
Yeah, so you can start, and then Uday, and then I don't know, Vasanta, and if possible, Sandamini.
Sure, Mataji.
Sounds great. Oh,
Purport.
right.
Okay. Purport. There are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penance which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions. For instance, fasting for some ulterior purpose, such as to promote a purely political end, is not mentioned in the scriptural direction. The scriptures recommend fasting for spiritual advancement, not for some political end or social purpose. Persons who take to such austerities, according to the Bhagavad Gita, are certainly demonic. Their acts are against the scriptural injunctions and are not beneficial for people in general.
Thank you very much.
All right, yeah, thank you.
That's good. Your daughter's coming now.
Hare Krishna. Actually, they act out of pride, false ego, lust, and attachment for material enjoyment. By such activities, not only is the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed disturbed, but also the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself lying within the body. Such unauthorized fasting or austerities for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. They are not mentioned in the Vedic literature.
Thank you so much. Next.
Vasanta? A demoniac person.
Yeah, I was reading. Sorry, I forgot to unmute. A demoniac person may think that he can force his enemy or other parties to comply with his desire by this method, but sometimes one dies by such fasting. These acts are not approved by Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he says that those who engage in them are demons. Such demonstrations are an insult to a Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are enacted in disobedience to the Vedic scriptural injunctions. The word asetasa is significant in this connection. Persons of normal mental condition must obey the scriptural injunctions. Those who are not in such a position neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own way of austerities and penances.
Thank you. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
One should always remember the ultimate end of the demoniac people as described in the previous chapter. The Lord forces them to take birth in the wombs of demoniac persons. Consequently, they will live by demoniac principles, life after life, without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If, however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by a spiritual master who can direct them to the path of Vedic wisdom, they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the supreme goal.
Thank you so much, all the readers and all the listeners alike. Hare Krishna. The chapter is entitled The Divisions of Faith, so we can see how faith could be divided based on motives, based on intent. And I can recall when I walked to Ireland, I started from Belfast, which is Northern Ireland, and then I made my way gradually, slowly down to the south, the southern city of Cork, which is where the Titanic picked up its last customers. So I remember when I was in the north, people were telling me a little bit about the socio-political situation. I say social because some people call it religious, but so we had the Protestants, the Catholics, and you had some men, they were fasting in prison till they die. And you really wonder, is there anything religious about all of this? Really, or is it just, as Prabhupada would put it, it's all kind of based on the false ego, and false ego usually means identification with the body and having very little to do with spirituality, having very little to do with doing something that Jesus would be happy with, whether it's Jesus or Krishna or Allah. People tend to mix them up, the religion and the political motives. And it's maybe not such a good idea to do that. People claim that wars have been started by religions, but no, I don't think that's true. It's by people are like, for lack of a better word, people who are very neophyte, not very evolved in their spiritual realization. So they use their religion as a front. And we've seen that also sometimes between husband and wife, like a couple, they're married and one person may be Catholic, another one is Protestant, or one is Protestant, the other one's Jewish, and they find that they sometimes have battles, and they sometimes use as a front, well, you're from a different religion than I am, and that's why we're fighting, and my faith is better than your faith. All this kind of kids stuff. But if we can get off this bodily platform and just identify more with, I'm a spirit, and maybe you have to brainwash yourself. Hung Brahmasmi. Then maybe something good will come out of that kind of brainwash. Let's not mix religion with politics. I think that's a phrase we've heard before. Maybe it's a good idea. Keep it out of here. And but people who do tend to mix their religion with their political objectives, they're the ones that are, well, I know it's a crass word that Prabhupada says, they're demons. It's kind of demoniac. And when I look at situation in India, where more recently everybody knows that the Ram temple was secured by a very influential charismatic yogi in India, who you can say is a Hindu person. I don't know. There's a lot of justice that people demand. We want our sacred ritualistic place back. We want Ayodhya back. We want the birthplace of Ram. I don't know if that argument is comparable to what other examples that we've been giving on here earlier. But nowadays, people have very strong sentiments about that. Some people say, oh, we don't like what the Catholics have done to us or the Christians have done to us. So we're just going to go back to our Celtic ways and do it the way it was from our ancestors. But look at all ways of spiritual paths. They've all got their flaws, you know. There's, I think when people look at under a microscope, our culture, they'll look at, oh, you've got the caste system, it's very evil, even though it can be traced back in history that maybe the caste system had some good things, so people could identify with the community, and perhaps it was other outside political endeavors that distorted that caste system, or what we call Varna Ashram. And it was just kind of a bad policy to mix it all together. And what really needs to be emphasized, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Hindu, I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Buddhist, you know. I am a servant of God. Gopi Bharatu Padakamalayora Dasa Dasa Anudasa. I'm the servant of God. And let's be a little bit more liberal. Some people say, well, your God is different from my God. Well, maybe not. How do you know? God is big. How much do you know about God? Is there anybody who's really expert? Even devotees who've got a lot of information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some devotees, those who are on not a very advanced level of awareness, they can also be considered not so devotional in the end. Yeah, so let's try not to mix politics here. And I'm afraid to say that during the pandemic, a lot of devotees got mixed it all up. They took sides, and well, why are you arguing? Vaccine versus virus. Why are you arguing? Why don't you just come together and chant Hare Krishna? Can you do that? You can do it over your computer. You can do it through cyberspace. You can chant together. You can do japa together. We can read together. Some devotees have succeeded in doing that, but Others have found that through whatever medium, let's fight, let's pull out the sword, and it doesn't have much to do with anything spiritual at all. So I guess we have to learn to separate the two, politics and spirituality. Hare Krishna. Any comments, Bruce?
Yeah, I have a question, Maharaj.
Yes.
In the purport, Prabhupada is talking about using like fasting for a political or social purpose. I was wondering, would Mahatma Gandhi fit in this category?
Yeah. It's funny that's what always comes to mind. Yeah. He fasted for quite a stretch so that people would stop fighting. I'm not one to say that it was demoniac. I'm not saying that the man had incredible power and the whole world listened to him because he took a whole different approach to aggressiveness. He was, I don't know, can you call it passive aggressive? He was a Hingsa supporter, and he was somewhat effective. I don't think we'd hold that against him. When we talk about Mahatma Gandhi, what was positive about him was self-sufficient communities. He did believe in not being aggressive over everything, and people loved him for that. The area where we have a little concern about Mahatma Gandhi is his great question or doubt about the existence of Krishna and the Pandavas, and he was looking at it a very allegorical way. So his fasts, not always recommended, but I'll tell you one story that happened right here in the temple where I grew up. There was some bad media that came out during the days of the cult issues, and we're talking about the mid-70s, and we were all quite upset at it. How we were being sort of labeled as such, as a sinister group, and one of our devotees decided he's just going to go in front of the Toronto Star, the country's biggest newspaper, where they put out a bad article, and he went right in front of their building, and he went on a fast, and I believe he also was chanting with his mridanga at the same time. Our temple president wasn't sure it was the right thing to do. He consulted with our GBC person. Both felt it wasn't, maybe that kind of fasting wasn't so appropriate. But you know what came out of it? The newspaper came out with a real positive article. The devotee was there playing his mridanga, and it was just 100% sweet, so something good came out of it all. Sometimes you have to be a little nasty. I'll tell you another technique we used, and I'm sure that Anutama wouldn't approve of this, but those were the days when we were less trained up how to deal with media. First of all, you should be proactive. I hope I'm not going off on a tangent too much, but it's kind of fun. You have to laugh at this. It was a very nasty article that came out from the same newspaper some years later against us. And by that time, we had a very good support system. We had a lot of people from the Gujarati community and elsewhere. And we decided excuse me for a minute, at a Sunday feast, excuse me, one more time, that one of our members got on the microphone. He said, I want you to call the Toronto Star, and I want you to block their lines. So everyone agreed to do it. And you know what it means to block their lines when you call in? They lose all opportunities for ads, which is where the money flows from. So it was extremely effective, I hate to say. And And they could understand we have power, you know, we have some kind of political power, we have numbers. And so was it political? I don't know. Was it where we're standing up for our faith, our beliefs? We're definitely calling for a fair share. Let's have some say in the matter. Don't just label us and crucify us. Let us have something to say, you know. So those were the days when we weren't so refined. But I thank you for reminding me of these things. The glorious days of, you know, the wild, wild west, you know, conquest and all this kind of stuff. But just to let you all know, there were days where we were under attack and we had to do whatever we could, it seemed, you know, to justify it. There was a lot of hate coming out at us and other surging religions. And there was a lot of people who like lost their sons or daughters who were like 22 or 21 years old, and they made their own decision to be a devotee. So there was an anti-cult group, we fought a lot of battles, you know. And if you look at some of us and we think we look kind of worn out, it's because we went through a lot of battles. But as Anuttama would say, you have to be very proactive. And you have to establish a relationship with the media. You have to ask them to come around. And of course, in the earlier days, everyone had a religious editor. They don't have that anymore. They don't have newspapers anymore. But there are ways to be very proactive. And now you have to be active on the internet. And you have to put up positive stuff constantly, let it flow out. And so it's a different approach now. But to be proactive and establish friendship, instead of trying to fix up the problems later on, that's very much in the mode of goodness, wouldn't you all say? You know? And so anyways, I think we've come a long way. We're part of the mosaic and we don't have to worry about that so much. But let us try to conduct ourselves like people acting in the mode of goodness and approaching everything that way. I think that's what they kind of expect of us. When I was doing the long walks, my whole approach was very much in the mode of goodness. I felt, here I am, I'm me. I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm not trying to hide behind a Santa Claus outfit, which devotees were doing to raise money and, you know, to help pay for the temple bills. And I was just being me, and I'm walking for a cause. When I did America, my theme was walking for our teachers that are underrated, and so those are the kind of things we do believe in. Of course, I coincided it with Prabhupada's, you know, coming to America, and then, you know, and registering ISKCON, and then the first center in the East Coast, on the West Coast, sorry. Spanning that time, the 3-year span from 50 years since he came, and then registered ISKCON, 50 years after that, 50 years after the first initiations in the West Coast. So I think we have to come across as genuine and try to avoid aggression. But if aggression is necessary, well, Hare Krishna, you know what I'm talking about here. Who was aggressive? 2 people.
Krishna
Who
and
are they?
Arjuna. Krishna and
Krishna and
Arjuna.
Arjuna. Yeah, and Arjuna, who's Jiva Tattva, he was the one that was hesitant. But it was God, he said, let's go and fight for our rights. I mean, they were cheated of all their wealth. And so Krishna say, hey, come on, let's stand up for our rights. Kshatriyas specialize in this area. They are reactive, but Brahminical people are proactive. What do you think, Prabhus? Or if you're a Kshatriya, you can also be considered to be proactive. Now, since I came back from India, here at the temple in Toronto, there's real nice gentleman. He's a police officer, and his shift is over just when our Mangalarti begins. So he comes and he stands there in his uniform, police and everything like that. And we feel kind of safe. And having him around, and he's cultivating bhakti in a real nice way. And Brahmins and Kshatriyas used to get along quite well. They worked for the same cause, and the cause was, let's share this wisdom, let's share this culture, and let's keep the culture, let's preserve it. I said a lot, Prabhus, but thank you for the good question. Do you think it answers it? I didn't give you a real black and white answer, did I?
Yeah, I think so. But
I
I
really
think,
think you're going to get different answers from different devotees on that one.
yeah. Mhm.
It's not going to be a clean, let's say yes or no, or was it demonic? I don't think you're going to get that. Was it sattvic? You'll get different answers. So
Mhm.
I'll leave it to you to make the decision. But if Mahatma Gandhi was here today, I'd probably go out on a fast with him. I know I couldn't offer any prasadam to him. We could chant near him, right? We could do that at least. Devotees have been known worldwide to, if there is a protest, the last ugly thing we went through was that Bangladeshi experience a couple of years ago. It was awful. It was just awful. And devotees did rally around and go to municipal places, and we had really meaningful kirtans. And it wasn't a kirtan where we're totally aggressive. We were loud, and and I think it was quite effective. It was good. It got some attention from the public. Yeah. So sorry to trail off. Bruce, let's give some other people a chance.
Can I say something, Maharaj?
Yes, we'd love to hear from you, my dear Arjuna.
Okay, so this Saturday we were in the Hatha Yatra and in Daytona Beach, and they were doing, like, somebody was speaking in our group, in the Hare Krishna movement, and then some crazy evangelist came with some signs, and nobody cared because it's the signs, but he came with a mic and he started speaking on top of the thing, and I was like, whoa, that's mad disrespectful. And I'm like, I can't tolerate this. I'm gonna go to the guy and I'm gonna be like, and I say, hey, what are you doing? That's mad disrespectful. What are you doing? And then another Christian guy came and he stopped the whole thing. But I was like, if I had to punch this guy, I'm gonna punch him because,
Well, you want to be a little careful about that, because some of these people, they're professional agitators, and they just want something like that to happen so that we end up looking bad. So I would just say, if there's some conflict, maybe someone else should handle it.
Well, yeah, somebody else came, but I was like, I bet you if I punch him, he's never gonna do it again. Yeah, I was like, but I don't know, that it looks like, because they're the guys who say you're going to hell all the time. They tell the people you're going to hell, and nobody listens to them because they're
They don't take them seriously. They look kind of foolish.
Yeah.
So the point is, some of these individuals, they align themselves with some religion, and many of them have kind of come out of abusive situations, drugs, no doubt. And this is their latest drug, the Jesus one. I'm not putting down Jesus. I'm just talking about how people apply themselves or misapply themselves. You want to be careful not to come down to their level, right? So if they're showing aggression, passion, and even ignorance, why should we come down to their level? You already said it. The smart people, they don't get into it. And in Los Angeles, that happens every year. The Rath Yatra at Venice Beach, these people of a different faith, they have their placards out there, and they're all kind of against us. And people at Venice Beach, they don't take them seriously. And what happens is that when the prasadam comes out and everyone lines up, all these protesters get into the line and take our prasadam. So they're blaspheming us all the way through the festival. And then they come and have prashadams. That's Venice Beach. One thing, we have a real advantage in Toronto. You have to go, we do everything on an island, like for the Festival of India Park. And to get there, you have to pay about $10. So it weeds out some of the people. Okay, but Anutama, and in ISKCON, we've come a long, long way to showing the better side of how to approach conflict, and better to have some people there who know how to handle these cases, So sorry to say that, Arjuna, you'll have to keep your, hot, passionate Latino blood under control.
Well, I wasn't trying to be conflictive. It's just that, like if somebody's speaking, you don't want to come and interrupt them just because they have a different fate or different way of thinking.
Well, you
But
can
the
always
problem
call the police. You can always call the police because you have a permit to be there, and the police have to back up. That's the kind of world we live in. We have that kind of freedom in North America, right? You just call the police and they do all that work for you. You don't have to get into a fist fight where blood is flying in the air. We don't need to go there. Anybody else? Any other comments? I think if something like that happens, we should ask somebody like Vasanta to come and step in the middle, and she'll solve all the problems.
Maharaj, this is Haripad Das. I have a
Haripad,
comment.
I was just joking there. Hope you take it lightly.
Yes, Maharaj. By your mercy, I'm doing fine, and by Krishna's mercy. So I like very much what you said. You're my hero, and another hero such as Bhaktimarga Swami also, I think, towards the end of his life, or his material life here, he was saying that I'm not passing away as a Hindu, or I'm not passing away as a Muslim or as a Christian. I think it's there in his book even. Where he says that specifically, and then you said something along very similar lines. So I like that very much, Maharaj, what you said.
We're just repeating Prabhupada's message again and again. The real brainwash is Aham Brahmasmi. I'm a spirit. Just have to keep that in mind. Keep that as our focal point, and then we should be successful with our mission.
Yeah, I like that. And one comment I have about Mahatma Gandhi is that he didn't overdo it in the sense that he some people in the process of fasting literally have to get medical treatment such as IV fluids and all those things. I mean, in those days, he did it in what he was capable of, and he was very much like a pacifist. Even I agree, even this Ram temple thing, I think it's I don't know, I liked how ISKCON, like we as a we don't want to alienate the Muslims or the Christians or the Jews or anybody, and the way you said it, I think I really agree with you. Like that's all, Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think Mathura is next on the list, right? Krishna Janmabhoomi, where Krishna is. That's the next project to get back into the hands of Vaishnavas. Okay, so be it. How many hundreds of years was Vedic culture oppressed to some degree or another? 1,000 years in India. Yeah. So
I think it's like 800 something years is when the first Mughals came.
Does that include the British regime?
British only came in the 1700s.
Anyway, it's a long time. It's a long time.
Yeah, 1700s.
Anyways, if Prabhupada was with us today, what would he think? They personally think he'd be very happy about the Ram temple being restored. I think he'd be very happy about, Vedic names coming back into the picture, and I think he'd be quite happy with some of the political maneuvers made to honor the indigenous people. And who are the indigenous people? The Krishna devotees and the Shiva devotees and the Ram Bhaktas and so on, isn't it? We constantly talk about that here in North America. Oh, look what we did to our indigenous people, how we trampled over them. We're talking about what the Europeans have done. And we're trying to restore it. I know the Canadian government pours out a lot of money to try to help, let's say, offset or compromise, make some reconciliation, and yeah, wrongs were done for sure. And I'm hoping most people will come across, especially those people of the past, or if people have links with aggressive individuals and communities and dynasties. Hope they'll be willing to say, well, we're sorry what our ancestors, what happened to you. We feel bad. Can we make it up? Or it'd be nice if humility could be inserted into society. Guess what? That's what we're trying to say. Hare Krishna. And when you brainwash yourself into believing I'm not this body, I'm a spirit, I'm a 1/10,000th the size of the tip of air, well, you can't think more humble than that. So from humility, truth arises. Thank you, Prabhu. Adipad, any other comments? Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, so we've gone through shall we hit another verse and purport? Because I'm not sure we're going to be with you again, Prabhu. Shall we? Let's do 17:7. How's that?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get one person to read the Sanskrit, another one for the translation. And how about two people can help us with the purport? All right.
Okay. Again, Uday, Arjuna, Haripad, Manasi Ganga.
Okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Aharastav api sarvasya trivido bhavati priya yajnastapastatha danam tesham bhedam imam shunu.
Next person.
Even the food each person prefers is one of three kinds. According to the three modes of material nature, the same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinctions between them.
Good, good. Fantastic. And then we got two more readers, and let's finish some more.
In terms of different situations in the modes of material nature, there are differences in the manner of eating and performing sacrifices, austerities, and charities. They are not all conducted on the same level. Those who can understand analytically what kind of performances or in what modes of material nature are actually wise. Those who consider all kinds of sacrifice or food or charity to be the same cannot discriminate, and they are foolish.
And finally, the last person.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams, and close to Srila Prabhupada. There are missionary workers who advocate that one can do whatever he likes and attain perfection. But these foolish guides are not acting according to the direction of the scripture. They are manufacturing ways and misleading the people in general.
Okay, thank you. Short but sweet. Do whatever you like. Okay. Great. So again, the three modes of material nature have entered into the picture. Actually, they won't leave us. The divisions of faiths are divided by these three gunas. And as we expressed earlier on, what's your intent? what's your motive? Is it one of pacifism? Is it one of kindness? Or is it where there's lots of, let's say, self-centered motives? Is greed behind it? And finally, what is the other dividing factor? Oh, just a destructive element, foolish and mode of ignorance kind of quality. That's how everything can be analyzed in this world. And religions are no exception. I'm talking about the different faith groups. And it just really depends on motives. When I think of I can talk one particular vein of Christianity. It all started off by a say very aggressive king who wanted more than one wife, and it was against the Vatican. So he started a whole religion. He said, well, I'll divorce or I'll behead. And he was known to behead, and there's all these kind of things if she didn't provide a male heir to the throne. I mean, that's how the head of the one sampradaya, the history starts. So is that in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance? You can judge it by what Krishna has to say here. I don't need to ask for the answer. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you've got all kinds of interesting things going on like this. So, just like food, there's three kinds. The style of clothes that you wear, three kinds. Three types of weather, easy to fit them, different music, and also just lifestyle. There's three different types. And what about faith? Also, I don't think you can say everybody's the same. I don't think it's possible. So we are encouraged not to be naive. We're encouraged to be discreet, and to understand the difference between these three gunas that are talked about so much in the Bhagavad Gita, over and over and over again. Krishna brings it to the fore. He brings it forward so that we can and be able to analyze things properly. Hare Krishna. So we're going to hear about how these modes play into different kinds of sacrifices, and also different austerities and charities. There's a fine line, and the lines are written out by the modes of nature. Any comments, Bruce? I mean, everybody likes to talk about food, so.
Yeah, Maharaj, I was just wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more what you said about this king and Christianity. I didn't really follow. What was that?
Well, we're just talking about the breakaway from the Vatican Church. There was, of course, what's his name?
Henry VIII?
Yeah, we'll talk about Henry VIII. That's very specific. Yeah. I mean, he broke away, and then another member of the church, also Martin Luther, he also broke away and started, became a Protestant. So yeah, I was just talking about someone who's quite motivated and let's say not very holy. And I just talk about a whole faith group that I guess it's kind of cleaned its act up a little bit in time. And we don't have that kind of thing going on for the current time, but it was highly political, what he had done. And heaven forbid those kind of things don't happen again. Yeah. So even some startup groups, religious startup groups, they end up having a very ugly history, and not all, but some do. Some start off bitter, and then they become sweet. Like if you go to a Church of England session, you'll find the people are very passive, very friendly, and they'll shake your hands. How are you? And be very neighborly and so on like that. So it took a while to get to that, but that's where it is. That's where, yeah. And a lot of faith groups have come a long way from being extremely racist and, committing themselves to saying, well, if you're a black man, you don't have a soul, or if you're a woman, you don't have a soul, or babies don't have a soul. All kinds of interesting combinations of conclusions that came from so-called religious scholars. But as of late, people have seen the value of coming together and appreciating more of the universal family. Not all, those who do, all the power to them. But then there are those who are quite discriminating. And I'm just saying we shouldn't go around in this world totally with a blind eye. Definitely we need to carry on and show our kindness to all and show our good Vaishnava etiquette, demonstrate the good protocols. But let's not be also naive and appreciate that some people have got interesting motives that fit into the category of the modes of material nature. But is that okay for you, Alex? I mean, we just talked about the church that broke away from the Vatican 500-600 years ago.
Yes, Maharaj, I find it all really interesting. I was wondering if you have any thoughts on Constantine, even that.
Wouldn't know enough. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But there is definitely a tendency to split and break away and to not follow authority and to establish yourself as authority. I think Martin Luther had some very genuine concerns, I mean, he was almost like a Chaitanya figure. Mahaprabhu himself was not happy with the way Brahmins were conducting themselves, and his focus was more or less get to the core of our culture, which is to express joy and love towards the Supreme, and in that way he was kind of different from everybody else. He expressed the religion of love and not so much the religion of fear. Thank you. Anybody else have something they want to say?
Maharaj, I was just
go ahead.
listening. I was just listening, going to your point earlier after the last verse about, how, you got to get away from like this bodily identification and sort of, you kind of related to that as the sectarian thing. So I was listening to Chaitanya Charitamrita in the car while, going to or from work or whatever. And
Yes.
it was the 18th chapter of Madhya Lila, and it's the one where Lord Chaitanya converts the Muslim warriors to, bhakti, and he does it using the Quran. Like he uses the Quran to like get them to the right place, and that really struck me as like, wow, just see how non-sectarian Lord Chaitanya was, that he got these Muslims to follow his instructions and then use the Quran to bring them to personalism, It's
Right.
just a reflection that came to my mind when you were talking. I just thought I'd
No.
share it.
Thank you so much. Yes. Well, Chaitanya, being who he is, very evolved, being Bhagavan himself, he's very perceptive, and he's naturally in a position where he can point out some areas of interest that would fly over a lot of people's heads. He can bring out the truth easily, and he did that numerous times. The more pure we are in our mannerisms and in our objective in life, the more we can be effective that way as well. And point out in different shastras and scriptures of the world that here's what's really going on here. These people are loving God. It's not about sectarianism or anything like this. Yeah. I mean, Prabhupada had that spirit as well, he said a few times that we follow Jesus, we love Jesus, Jesus is our guru. I mean, even for myself personally, I was looking for real Christians. I couldn't find them. Where does people are talking about Jesus? It just couldn't. There was always a flaw. Okay, you're a Christian, but you're doing. I'd always find some hypocrisy, like deep-rooted hypocrisy. And then I met devotees, and I said, "Oh, these are the Christians. They just have a nice long Jesus hair and a beard and everything like that. They might wear sandals, but they do have robes, and they have shaven heads, But when looking at the descriptive, looking at their lifestyle, seems like they're more Christian-like than the Christians I know. So I was taken by that. I was very affected,
Jai, wonderful.
drawn to. Yeah, thank you. I mean, you have some devotees who are quite adept at picking up on different faith groups they've studied, done comparative studies, and they can bring out the best in different religious philosophies. It's really all more about love. It's not so much about control. Or if there is control, let God control. Let God control. That's where we accept the word control. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other golden hands? Golden feet? Do you have any golden feet flinging up in the air? Okay, Arjuna. Let's see your golden foot then. Okay.
We can control most things. We can control our decisions and our actions. That's about it. Other than that, we can't control almost anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, we must control our senses, and we should certainly allow Krishna to control our lives. Stop being the controller. That's the problem. Stop playing God. Aham Brahmasmi. I'm spirit. I'm a little spark of life. 1/10,000th the size, the tip of a hair. That's what I am. I'm not I'm not King Tut or Queen Sheba. I'm just a little servant of the Lord. That's all. Good. Why don't we just do some, go anybody else?
I have a comment, Maharaj. Yesterday, my son, he got inducted into the National Honors Society for mathematics and for science and for general academic achievement. So,
really? Which one of your boys did that?
The younger one, Srinath. So there was a mass at the Catholic school in the evening before the induction ceremony. So we went to that, and the father, he drank the from the chalice, I guess it's wine. I don't know what it was, yeah. And then the bread, and then each one of the parents walked up to him, bowed, and then he gave us a piece of the. It's like a little cookie. I don't know how they make it, but it's like it looked like a manufactured cookie. It wasn't like he didn't tear off a bread, but he gave it.
Wafer.
Yeah, wafer. It was like a
wafer, like a white, very white.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And he gave
Eucharist.
Right, Eucharist, right. And as he gave it to me, he said, "This is the body of Christ." So I took it, and I saw what the people in front were doing, and I just repeated what they were doing. But I found it since this verse is about eating, and he said, "This is the body of Christ." So that I felt like, oh my God, I'm eating a part of that, but I didn't say anything, and I just honored it, and I said thank you, and that was it. And it was related to this.
Then after that, you went home and ate a real chapati.
Yes.
Full of butter.
Not yesterday, because yesterday was Ekadasi, so no chapati yesterday. No
Okay.
roti. Yeah.
Quinoa, Maharaj. We had quinoa with vegetables.
Sounds good. I wish it was there.
Oh, I know you like quinoa, and I can't wait to serve you some new dishes. So with quinoa, Maharaj.
Well, maybe you, I'm sorry, a little off topic. Maybe with the two of you could find out when is that overly Rath Yatra, and because I have to start to get my itinerary together. When is that festival, the Rath Yatra, that
Yeah,
devotees?
I was actually in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago, Maharaj, for Bhakti Tirtha Swami's Vyasa Puja, and
okay.
there were devotees from many places. I think I will send you the itinerary, but I think it's May 4th, Saturday is the Oberlin Rath Yatra. So I can arrange, we can talk, just like last year, we can do the same itinerary. But if you want to visit the prison where you have a disciple, that you have to contact His Grace Akhilananda.
After this call, or maybe tomorrow or something, we can work something out. So,
Yes.
Prabhu, thank you. And let's just some takeaway. Am I a little bit late for that? It's 6 o'clock now, isn't it?
2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Okay. All right. Quickies. You got one word for each person. One word only this time.
Okay, Manasi. Okay, yeah, Alex, go.
Purity?
Thank you. Thank you.
Manasi Ganga.
Oh, Hare Krishna. So the wise man understands analytically what kind of performance.
No. One word. One word.
Okay.
Next one is love. Love.
Good.
Love, somebody said.
Yeah, Dharma Prabhu.
Okay, great.
Love. I'm driving. He's holding this. I think it's love. One word, love.
Yes.
Yes. We got it. Next.
Ananta Seshu.
Intention.
Intention.
Krishna.
Tribhuvan.
Krishna.
Okay.
Krishna.
Anutama Prabhu. He said, Arjuna.
Control.
Charles, can you say something? Haripad Prabhu.
Guru Maharaj is my hero. Hero, Guru Maharaj.
Hero. Okay, thank you.
Chaitan Charan. Are you able to? Or if you're driving, don't worry. Guru Das Prabhu.
Brahmasmi.
Brahmasmi. Yeah, good.
Guru Das Prabhu.
I said Brahmasmi. Yeah.
Oh, you said that. Okay, so, okay, go ahead, Chaitanya Charan.
Apply Vaishnava etiquette.
Apply Vaishnava etiquette. We're looking for one word. I think you mean to say apply.
Purna Chandra, are you able to say? Nitai Priya, are you able to say? Sandamani?
Yes, austerity, Maharaj. This is Sandamani.
Vasanta?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Faith.
Faith, thank you.
Okay, so who else did I miss? Uday.
Proactive.
Proactive, thank you. That's a good one.
Yes, thank you.
It's gone.
Okay, good. We believe in that.
Yeah, and I think that's all, Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll try to get together next week. If not, just be ready to embrace each other. All right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Kalpatarubhya kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
Namaha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Have a great week, devotees.
Thank you, Arjuna Prabhu Haribol.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, everyone.